So welcome to Unisono. We are here at 18th and Paulina in Pilsen in Chicago on behalf of Rosamos and Beat Latino and Catalina Maria Johnson. And it's a treat and a pleasure to welcome Ceci Bastida. Bienvenida.
Hola,
Qué gusto
gracias.
de que estés con nosotros.
Igualmente, gracias.
So Ceci, it's been a couple of years since Veo La Marea. So are you doing more composing? Are we going to be seeing a new album in the near future?
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm mainly focusing on writing and recording. I did a lot of writing last year, and now I'm kind of more focused on trying to record it and hopefully have an album ready for next year, like around springtime. So yeah, that's the main plan.
Now you come from kind of a punk background originally,
Yes.
a while back. So does that still continue to inform your music, do you think?
I don't think musically necessarily, but I think in terms of the lyrics that we the things that we talked about, I think that's still pretty much in me. So it's more social issues. It tends to be more social issues, but not just social issues. With Tijuana, no, it was just about politics and social issues. In this case, it's not. But it's definitely part of me. So yeah, I think that's the main influence that I have from those days.
So the socially conscious, socially activist kind of message.
Yeah.
So is that always, when you're composing, is that kind of at the forefront, or does it just sort of naturally come out and be expressed?
I think it naturally comes out. I think I have a harder time writing love songs. And when I hear one that I like from other people, I'm just very impressed by them. But in my case, it doesn't come as natural. More, I guess it's easier for me to talk about relationships that fail, or than actual love songs for some reason. But yeah, normally I tend to go more towards social issues.
And that's coming because of the experience of growing up in Tijuana.
I think that's between being in Tijuana and growing up at the border, and maybe also having my friends and kind of are more involved in in that sort of thing, and immigrant issues, and so I don't know, it just kind of comes natural to me, or more natural to do it that way.
And you've had several songs about the situation in Tijuana in terms of like just the narco-related violence.
Yeah, and I think that one was more about Tijuana, because it was very strong back then. But it's mainly about Mexico, because I think the whole country's suffering from a lot of violence, and it's gotten out of control. And so it's hard for me to ignore that. I see it every day. My family still lives in Mexico. I go to Mexico a lot. In Tijuana. I go to Mexico a lot. I have a lot of friends down there. So for me, it's really hard to see how everything's gotten sort of out of control, and how things should not be like this, but they managed to still be happening. And so yeah, that's an important thing to talk about, I think.
So you really have seen the change then from, was it very, very different when you were young?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Tijuana's always had a bad reputation, always, but it was never what people perceive it to be. It's not. I think it's become like this story about what Tijuana is, and it's full of violence and pharmacies and what do you call them? Stripper clubs and all that stuff. I grew up in a different Tijuana. That's not the Tijuana that I know. But with the whole war, with the whole drug war, quote unquote drug war, it's become, it became for a while. That was like the main thing that you heard about Tijuana, and sometimes I would get nervous walking around the streets at night. I would, but it's changed a little bit. I think it's gotten a little bit more calm. But the violence still in Mexico just kind of moves from territory to territory.
Right,
So it's definitely something that needs to be looked at and from a different perspective. And I think that it needs to be tackled also from a different point of view, and kind of forget about this. Let's just be aggressive towards this, and maybe go to the root of the problem and try to fix that somehow.
Right. The root being just the
lack of education, poverty. Just a huge gap between
the very rich and
the people who don't have anything, and also the very rich that are, a very small percentage of the country, and then you have the rest of the country that lives in, extreme poverty. So I think those are the main issues, and of course it's like a huge thing, and I say it like it's nothing, but I understand that it's not. I think education is something that is, to me, it needs to be prioritized, and just people be able to give people jobs that pay well, and basically make people think, or make people understand, or have a future for the people, so that people have something to look forward to.
Right.
I think right now it's just like you see that Mexico is in a bad place, and people are just desperate, and I understand it to a certain degree. I'm not saying that it's okay, but I understand that this is what's become of Mexico. But you forget, you kind of ignore a population, and this is going to happen. So it's understandable, but then we need to do something about it.
Right. Do you think musicians have like a duty to use their art in that way?
I used to think that when I was younger. No, not anymore. I think that there are people that are good at that, or that want to do that, and I respect them. And then people that decide not to talk about these issues, I also respect them. There are a lot of people that don't talk about these issues in their music, but they're active, with a organization, or do other things. So I think that's important too. I don't want to be judgmental, because that's not what it's about. I think that people are doing what they're doing because that's what they feel, and I know a lot of people that have been being involved in these different organizations, and not necessarily talk about these things, and I think they're doing amazing jobs too. So yeah, so I think it varies.
Respect for all. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
It some of your pieces that have become collaborations, I think, are also really, really special. So tell me a little bit. There's one with Rai Rai, and there's one with Outer National, I believe. Yeah. So tell me a little bit. How did those come about?
I think with Rai Rai, what happened is that there was this little part of a song that I liked. A very, very old song. It's like a children's song, and I wanted to use it, and I wanted someone who had a particular voice. I love her voice, and I wanted someone who could also rap and do it well, and she's an amazing rapper. So I thought it was like the perfect combination, having her. So we were able to get to her, and she liked the song, and then she ended up recording on it, and I think it turned out to be great. I mean, I love what she did with it, and.
Did you do it in
no,
not
separately.
Together, separately?
She did it in I think she was in Philadelphia or Baltimore at the time. So she did it at a studio over there. But she was excited about it, and we both were happy with the results, and I love it. So and Outer National is a band that I met a few years ago because they knew Tijuana No. And they were they liked the band, and they liked what we talked about. And so I had a show in LA, and all of a sudden all these guys came, and they were like, oh, we used to like your band. And to me it was the weirdest thing, because there are these guys from New York that I had never met before, and all of a sudden they say that they're into Tijuana No's music, which was like kind of a while back. So we met like that, and then we became friends, and then they wanted to work on a track of mine, do some sort of a remix, which ended up not necessarily being a remix, it was more like a collaboration. But I thought they did a great job, and so we've been doing their version live, and so we keep in touch, and they're doing great. They're touring around, and
they were here recently.
Oh, they were?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So they're good live. Too.
Now your last this new work that you're composing, so you're still working with social themes, or is that still an element?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Has it changed? Is it changing? Is your music kind of, I don't want to say evolving, because that seems like it's like getting better, but I mean, is it changing?
I think it is. I think it is. I think it at least musically I want it to be a little more warm somehow. Lyrically, it is. There is a lot of social issues, but some of them are I talk about these from a different point of view, or from a different voice. So it's kind of like on the same, kind of like como la misma frecuencia, pero bueno, un poco diferente. No quiero hacer lo mismo.
¿Y tiene algo que ver con Yamila? Does it have something to do with a certain beautiful 8-month-old?
No, I mean, There is one song, I guess. Yeah, there is definitely one song. But to me, it didn't happen like that. At least it hasn't. Where a lot of people that have babies, they're like, oh, so they want to record a whole album about their baby.
Andre Echeverri, for
which
example.
is beautiful,
Yeah.
and she did such a beautiful thing. But to me, it kind of didn't happen that way.
That's okay.
Yeah, which is fine. Doesn't mean that I'm bad about that.
And Yamila's with you,
Yeah,
touring.
right now. Yeah, well, she's coming to we fortunately I haven't quote unquote we haven't been touring around that much because I've been focusing more on the writing thing. So she's come to a couple of shows when they're not that late, like this one. So I wanted to bring her because it's hard, to leave her for a couple of days. So she's here, and then we're gonna go to bed a little later.
Does she like your music?
I don't know. I haven't asked her. You know what? I've never played my music to her. Like I've never played my CD.
Fun. Really?
I don't know. I just feel like I want her to experience all, other music, and I don't know. I've never done that.
And you were telling me the meaning of her name. It's a beautiful name.
It means beautiful. Yeah.
Yamila.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. So, where to next? Recording?
I think right now that's my main focus. I think that I had a baby, and the first few months were hard for me to focus on something else other than her. I think right now she's getting a little bit older, so I'm able to, get more time to work on my stuff. So I've been doing some writing and some collaborating with another artist, and we're trying to figure out a few things. But yeah, the main plan is to record a bunch of songs until the end of the year, and then hopefully record beginning of next.
So, how long have you been in LA now?
Almost 7 years.
Almost 7 years. Has that affected your music also?
I think so. I think it has. I mean, you have a lot of access to different kinds of music and different cultures and all that. So I think it's definitely influenced. And I also perceive things from a different light. Especially talking about immigration. I think that I used to talk about immigration from the point of view of being in Mexico, and now I see sort of like what happens to people once they cross, and I like to talk about those things too. That it's not the American dream realized, because that's not how it is. And I know that people don't think that that's what it is, but I feel like people don't realize the struggles that people go through once they're here, and it's just painful and hard. And I have such respect for them and admiration. So
right. What? I wanted to ask a question going way back.
Okay.
So, were you always? Did you always want to be a musician? Did you start studying music very early, or was it something that happened, a little bit later?
No, I started.
Did you come from a musical family?
Yeah, it's sort of a musical family. My father and a lot of his sisters love to sing. My mom played piano for years.
Wow.
And so I learned piano.
Both sides.
Yeah, so I learned piano basically from her. I mean, I took private lessons when I was little, and then she taught me a little bit too. And but I think she was a main influence, like watching her play. So I studied piano when I was probably around. I started studying piano probably when I was around 8. And then I stopped and I started doing my own thing, but kept with piano, and so that's kind of how it happened. So yeah.
So, what was your favorite music? What were your favorite kind of musical influences when you started to that came into play when you started to compose?
I would say definitely the Clash.
It was the Tijuana No.
Yeah, I mean it was back at that time, and I was 15 when I started playing with them, and I was listening to a lot of the Clash, and I was listening to a lot of Bob Marley and Specials and that sort of thing, David Bowie. So there were a lot, but those were my main. I think the Clash has always been it's always the example that I use about a band that I really admired and looked up to, and that I still do. I think they managed to do a great thing, which is combine these great melodies, great singable songs, and with mainstream lyrics and just powerful music. So I think they're a great band still.
Well, one last question: what do you want to do with your music? What do you want? I don't know if it's conscious, or I don't know if you've thought about it, but if you have, what do you want the audience to have when they leave?
I mean, I don't feel like I want to necessarily, teach the audience anything because it's not my place. I just like to talk about what I think and what I feel, and I want people also to enjoy it and have fun. So it's a little bit of everything, but I'm not here to preach anything.
No, but it is a very thoughtful music. I mean, it's music you can enjoy on a number of levels.
I'd like to think so, but yeah, it's like, you know, sometimes, and even with my old band, and we were younger, a lot of them were like, yeah, you know, we're telling people how things are. You're not, you know, you're telling people what you think, and I don't know, I feel like you can't be that egocentric. And, you know, do what you do, and hope people like it, and if people believe in what you talk about, then that's great for you, and hopefully you can use your voice to talk about important issues as well. So yeah,
thank you very much. Well,
thank you.
We love your music. Thanks
you
for
so
being
much.
with us, and thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
Gracias.